Most people have heard of Junko Furuta as she's been featured in many tweets with botted likes, but most people don't know the true story of her and what she did to deserve what happened to her, because she did deserve it. Junko Furuta was born on the 18th of January 1871 in Japan. The start of her life wasn't that interesting until in 1931 she joined the Imperial Japanese Army, where she would train for several years before being deployed to China in 1937 at the start of the Japanese invasion. She would make a name for herself on the 13th of December 1937 when she was deployed to Nanking and took part in the infamous massacre and rape that took place there. As the result of her heroic actions in Nanking, she was promoted several times, eventually reaching Prestige 1. She was then given command of her own unit, which was named the Junko Rapers, and they continued to rampage across China. The Emperor was so impressed with Junko's prowess for destroying civilians that he promoted her to a member of Unit 731 and later Unit 935, where she committed numerous atrocities against civilians in horrific conditions. Later on in 1938, she would take part in a competition with other officers on who could kill the most civilians with a sword, the goal being 100. Junko would win this competition by far. In 1940, Junko would be involved in organizing and deploying chemical weapons against Chinese troops and civilians without mercy. Later on, Junko would personally order the execution of thousands of captured civilians and prisoners of war. In 1941, the Emperor would personally consult with Junko on how to commence the attack on Pearl Harbor. Junko initially suggested the use of chemical weapons, but the Emperor thought it was too extreme and had to talk her down. In 1942, Junko was involved in the invasion of Singapore, where she would personally execute hundreds of British civilians and soldiers. After this, Junko would be assigned as the leader of the infamous Changi prison camp in Singapore, where she would stay until 1944 as the head of the camp. There she would commit numerous atrocities against prisoners of war, including starvation and forced death marches and torture. In 1944, fearing capture by Allied forces, she would flee back to Japan, where she would stay for the remainder of the war. When back in Japan, she would have a huge part in the infamous kamikaze campaign, helping to recruit thousands of troops for the cause. Following Japan's surrender in 1945, Junko would be put on trial alongside other notorious war criminals. However, due to her ability to sleep around with the guards, judges, and jury, she was given a lighter sentence and let off after only 10 years. After serving her sentence, she went back to living a normal life in Japan with no regards for the suffering and pain she caused to hundreds of thousands of people. However, she would face real justice in the end when on the 4th of January 1989, family members of the people she murdered would catch her and finally put an end to her evil existence. The killers were not given much punishment, as nobody was really sad to see her go. Junko Furuta remains one of the most controversial war criminals in Japan's history to this day. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video.